I'm here with Juliette from Christians Against Poverty. Hello.
Hello there.
Now, I've got you on today because I emailed and said, can you come and talk to us? Because Wednesday, it was I probably got the wording wrong, but it's the Chancellor's statement. So this is forecasting future potential financial situation for UK PLC, so to speak, and therefore the things that we can do, the things that we can't do. And one of the big things for me, which is a huge red flag, which is why I got hold of you guys, was around the effects of people moving forwards because of the economy on benefits, payments, people who are most struggling. So can you just give us a bit of an overview? First of all, just give us a bit of an overview. What's CAP about? And then what were your big takeaways from Wednesday?
Yeah, so at CAP, we provide free support for people with problem debt through our FCA authorised debt advice. But then we also provide money management courses, life skills groups and job clubs, which are all done in partnership with over 200 amazing churches that are based in communities across the UK who provide hope for people in the darkest of times and provide that kind of non-judgmental support when people are facing financial difficulties. So we see every day the realities of poverty in the UK, and our frontline go into people's homes where they haven't been able to turn the heating on. They haven't been able to buy food to eat. They're going without so many of life's essentials. And that's even before the announcements that were made this week and last week. So yes, as you say, we had on Wednesday the spring statement, which the Chancellor had decided that it wasn't going to include any raises of taxes, but instead included cuts. This came off the back of, also we had the Pathway to Work green paper that was published last week. And that had already set out a number of different changes and restrictions to the welfare system. So it meant that there's changes, for example, to eligibility around PIP, so the personal independence payment. So it'll be harder for people to be able to access that. And these stricter rules, we're estimating will mean that potentially 800,000 people could lose an average of £4,500. That wasn't the only change. We saw changes to the universal credit rate as well. So there was some slight positive news that the standard allowance will increase from £92 to £106 per week. So that will, over the course of the next few years, be some welcome news. But the payment for the universal health element will be halved to £50 per week. So that, alongside it being frozen for new claimants, will be painful for a lot of people who are already facing really financial difficult situations. And the government have, in their impact assessment, already revealed that it will be pulling more people into poverty and financial difficulty. So a really concerning time at the moment.
We don't do politics. I know you guys don't. This isn't about politics, because we've seen this. The colour of the government doesn't really matter, because actually it's about the people who make up the UK. That's really what we're talking about here. I mean, £8 a week more, that's not a lot. That's 30 quid a month. That's 300 and some quid a year. That's not a lot of money. But if you're right at the bottom end of being able to ever afford food, that actually is far more than perhaps might appear. But halving the element for people who can't work through disability, that is especially alarming.
Yes, it is. It's particularly concerning because we know from CAP's latest research even that around 21% of the UK population report having a deficit budget, which means that their income from wages and social security, or a combination of both, just aren't enough to cover the cost of essentials. So that's even before kind of these changes. And we know that the proposed changes are likely to hit people who are on low incomes and who are suffering from various different physical and mental health challenges already. So it's really kind of pushing people who are already in tough situations into potentially more difficult situation and spiraling debt, where people can feel like there isn't hope. And at CAP, we do say that there is hope to be helping people out of poverty, but it's just been made so much harder by some of the announcements this week. As you say, we're not party political. There are different ways that as a future UK we could see an end to UK poverty, but these latest announcements don't seem to be making some of the steps that would be needed.
I know from my own perspectives, I've got children now that are much older, but over sort of 10, 15 years ago, we saw a definite switch in the UK. I'm going to say about 15 years ago, where really, unless both parents are working, you cannot in any shape or form, for the vast majority of people, earn enough money to have one parent at home with your children. That was a huge change that I saw. And we saw the government at the time, whichever one that was, doesn't really matter, saying, okay, you both need to go to work. And of course, that has a very detrimental element on society, because children need parents, and that they need parents for longer than we are now allowed almost to give them. Not quite that, but it sort of feels like that, doesn't it, financially? But we've already got that going on, where really two parents are needed for a child in order to have enough money. And even they are working full time and probably in deficit, like you say. But we're not talking about those folks who actually have got jobs and potentially more possibilities for more money. We're talking about people who can't, by the very nature of their health, function in a job that you and I would consider as a normal job. Now, there's always going to be something they can do. Of course there is. But it's not as simple as, well, here's a nice 4-hour job. You could do that. Yeah, but how do I get there? I haven't got money for a bus or a car, or how am I supposed to get to said location where potentially I could do some work if I'm feeling healthy enough? I mean, you're saying 800,000. I think I read something either 25 or 250,000. It doesn't matter. This is people who are going to be affected. That was the government's own estimations. But 800,000 losing £5,000, is that a year? That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, so 4,500 per year. Yes,
4,000.
And as you say, there are all sorts of challenges that people are facing with high childcare costs, and with the majority of our clients also being single parents. And so there's so many challenges that our society isn't necessarily creating a supportive place for people to be able to thrive. There were some kind of welcome changes around supporting people into paid employment, but as you say, that needs to be put in context as well, and trying to make sure that people are supported into the employment that's right for them. And for some people with physical and mental health challenges, actually full-time paid employment may not be what they're able to do at certainly a short period of time, but it could be a long period of time as well. And there is real challenge also for the voluntary sector as well, because for some people, actually voluntary work is a positive step for them, maybe in their journey into employment. But people aren't necessarily able to financially survive if they've not got paid employment as well. So there's all sorts of challenges that are up against each other at the moment that people are facing.
I guess in a way we've really gone and focused a bit on, here's the negative stuff that's going on or might be coming up. You've mentioned hope. When I thought I've got to get CAP on, I did a whole radio segment on there is hope. I know what it's like to go to a food bank. Was it about 6-7 years ago? We had no job, no money. Went to a food bank. It's really, really hard. It feels really degrading. The church you went to were beautiful people. We came away joyfully in tears, having gone in it. And it's hard. All I'm saying is I know it's really hard to go to these places, but there are beautiful people on the other door waiting to give you that. Where does Christians Against Poverty enable people in a, suppose, actionable way? Where is the hope really going to come from for you guys?
Yeah, so first of all, it is that practical hope, as you say, being able to be the hands and the feet, being able to provide support for people, our brothers and sisters in our communities. And that's something that we feel privileged to be able to do through churches across the UK. We've got amazing frontline staff and volunteers and befrienders who can come alongside someone in one of their darkest moments and be there and provide support and provide guidance and provide help, but also to offer to pray. and that's beautiful to be able to help in that way. But then we also, as a charity, we want to go beyond that. We want to see every person to be able to thrive, but we also want to see churches to thrive as well. We want to see a community of people across the UK all coming together, and part of what we do as well at CAP is we pray into problems, and we come together and we worship as well. So there is hope and there is help, and CAP and many other wonderful charities are out there. Although it might be tough to reach out and accept the struggles that you might be facing, for anyone that listening that is experiencing financial difficulty, I would really say we've got a free phone number, or we've got a website, and there are other charities out there as well that are there to help and won't judge, and will just be coming alongside you with care and compassion.
That last bit you said, I think is really important, because we had some years ago, we had a business, the recession happened 2009-10, and we had business debt, and there were lots of people who will very happily take your money to help you. And I was told at the time, be very careful. You do not need to pay. There are free provision. Business debt is slightly more complicated, but it's not different in that sense. So that point, I think, is really valid. If you are struggling, you don't need to pay.
Yes, definitely. There are free debt advice organisations out there. You can see them all listed on Money Helper website, which is the government's kind of advice hub for debt advice. Make sure to check that, it's free, that it's FCA authorised, which stands for Financial Conduct Authority, which just means that it's kind of an official debt advice organisation. I think, as you say, some people can get caught in even worse spiralling situations by paying for debt advice and then ending up getting caught in that vicious cycle as well. But there is free help available, non-judgmental, available to anyone, no matter where they're at in life as well. CAP might be the best option for you if you want someone to be there to come into your home, to be there in person, to be able to support you based in the community. But there are also other options available. But the worst thing to do is just kind of to do the thing that is tempting at times, which is to pop your head in the sand and to be in denial. But instead, to reach out to support is the best next step.
Christians Against Poverty, I've known about for a very long time. I do know about some others as well. But the one thing I've always felt with CAP in particular is there is hope. You don't need to see the darkness, or I can't pay my bills. There is always a choice. There is always an option. But finances have that thing, don't they, where when we're running out of money, it isn't just a bit of a problem. It's kind of an all-prevailing darkness. But then you have the light of people like you at CAP, who are literally shining a light in the darkness, the hands and feet of Jesus Christ, in order to bring hope. And there really is hope, regardless of the situation you're in.
Yes, definitely. We know that people go without sleep because of problems with worrying about their financial situation. People are pulled, their mental health is made worse. People are pulled into really kind of tragic mindsets. But as you say, there is hope. And every day we see that at CAP, when people have the courage to be able to phone up and say that they're struggling. We've got wonderful team that are on hand to be able to support someone to start off that journey, to help them on their journey out of debt, into a bit more of a kind of stable financial situation. But also there's hope that we're able to provide by welcoming people into the community as well. Because we've got our debt advice and other services rooted in church communities, it means people can receive a welcome that sometimes they've never received before. They can suddenly feel part of a community. They can know their neighbours. They can actually feel like they're part of something bigger. And for some clients, that means that's the start of their journey into church as well. We've been delighted to see some people on their journey with faith and have personally found that to be a way that they've come out of not only financial poverty, but also spiritual poverty that they might have been personally experiencing as well, and suddenly feel part of the church community and really embedded in their church family as well.
Spiritual and financial health. I mean, it's so important. We know, I mean, the NHS will say this, we're not just a bunch of carbon and water. There is a body, there is a heart, there is a spirit as well. And the spiritual welfare is so key because it's not just something that is bolted on or tacked on, but when you've got financial troubles and the darkness is there, actually connecting with people in your local community, connecting with that spiritual element of who you are in a really healthy way, it's all part of being healthy.
We know there's so much research that proves that actually money challenges and mental health can go kind of hand in hand. And I think in today's society where people can feel really isolated and lonely as well, then to be able to not only provide that practical support to help someone with their finances, but also to see them as a whole person, to look holistically at someone's life situations and accept them and welcome them and see them in all of their beauty and all of their challenges as well, and to be that welcoming person at the front of a church, or to be that neighbour that offers to help. It can be our way as Christians of showing love to our brothers and sisters. It can be our way of showing what we see Jesus teaching us to love one another and to not judge, and to be there for everyone in our society, whether they're rich or poor, or have disabilities, or have other challenges, that we can be there and help them and pray for them and just be kind to them as well.
Kindness is never ever going to be unwelcome or overrated. It's really, really not, is it?
Definitely.
Just remind us then. So, Cap, it's a non-judgmental help for financial. If people ring you, I mean, what is it people can expect? Because I'm having been there. Everything is about you can't pay us bills, blah blah blah. It becomes this huge monster of darkness. When they reach out to you, what is it they can expect from you guys?
Yes. So you can even before you ring, if you're someone that wants to kind of look at what might be available on CAP's websites, that's CAPUK, or one word, .org/help, and that can show you about all of the kind of help that's available, whether you're going through problem debt or financial difficulty, or need help finding work. And you can even kind of pop your postcode in and find out what's available in the local area and what church it's linked to, so that you have some of that information if you're someone that wants to be kind of really armed with that knowledge. Or if you're just at that point of wanting to call to reach out for support, then there's a free 0800 number that you can call. And what you can expect is just such a welcoming person on the other side of the phone, who'll be there to hear you out, to be able to give you kind of direction of the next steps forward, and loop you up with your local debt advice if there's one available in your local area, or we'll be able to signpost you if there isn't. And so just, they won't judge you. They won't go and say anything around what your story has been up until this point. They're there just to provide that hope and that help. So there shouldn't be this feeling of stigma or shame, because that's certainly not what you'll experience when you come to CAP.
All the people at CAP I've spoken to through the radio over the years, you're always so beautiful people. And I just think that can't be unless that's a collective heart and family within the CAP group, because it's nice meeting one person that's nice, but if every person I meet is the same, it does point back to the fact that the whole family of CAP has to have that same loving, compassionate heart. Yeah,
definitely. We're grounded in our passion to help. I think is something that unifies us across the organisation. We are bold, but we're also collaborative, and we care, and we really kind of want to see that future where we can see transformed lives, thriving churches, and end to UK poverty. That's our mission, and that's something that we, for every person that's working within the organisation, we're all kind of unified behind. We're all just trying to make a better future for everyone, to see that kind of heavenly place on earth.
I love that one. Someone's listening to this and they're thinking, you know what, I don't know what to do. I'm in this, I've just heard this news about PIP or benefits, and I don't know what to do. What would you say to that person in the simplest way possible of having hope and getting hold of CAP? I mean, how would you reach that to that person who's just afraid of what they've just heard?
First of all, I'd say you're not alone. There's so much fear by so many people. You are not alone. If you're facing financial difficulties, if you're unsure about the future, you're not alone. You're not alone in your worry, but you're also not alone in that there is help available in your community, but also help that we can help you access. So the first step would be to acknowledge where you're at, to give yourself grace, to not feel like that you should feel kind of any sense of negativity towards yourself. No, it's a really difficult situation people are facing at the moment. You're not alone, so you can just reach out to CAP or others, and there is free, non-judgmental support that's available.
Thank you, Juliette. Just give us that website one last time.
capuk.org.
Thank you, from CAP. I hope you can get rest and time as you're going to be in a busy season, I guess. And I'm really grateful for you coming on, just sharing some of this heart of the message of hope that comes from Jesus Christ through Christians Against Poverty for anybody that needs help. capuk.org. Thank you, Juliette.
Wonderful. Thank you.